Hi YouTube, I'm Alan Sugano. I'm the president of ADS Consulting Group, and today's topic is about network virtualization. Network virtualization, what's that? I mean, I'm sure you've heard of server virtualization, you might have heard of application virtualization, you might have heard of uh, different types of virtualization, but network virtualization, what the heck is that? So basically what that allows you to do, it's more common in cloud architecture and in larger we see it sometimes in larger VMware shops, but basically what it does is it takes the network layer 2 specifically, where you typically would create VLANs, and it virtualizes it. So instead of, now if you're familiar with having what we call them carving out VLANs on switches, you have to go around to every switch in the chain and add the VLANs and tag or untag the ports, and then make sure that the ports connecting the other switches are trunked or has the added VLAN. Blah. It's kind of a pain, especially if you have multiple switches. So what network virtualization does is it's an overlay on top of that, and it allows you to create these virtual networks from one central management point. Oh, you want to set up a new virtual network? No problem. Well, give it to that. Creates a virtual router or virtual switch or gateway to that virtual network, and then now it is effectively isolated just like a VLAN without having to carve out a VLAN. So it's also really a great use case when you're standing up or modifying or removing VLANs on a fairly regular basis. Most networks we see are relatively consistent. You know, you make a VLAN change maybe once or twice a year, but if you find yourself doing it, even on a monthly basis, consider network virtualization, because although it is a pretty hefty lift to get it installed, it does make it's a net time server basically. So the time you set up doing the network virtualization, like with NSX, will be saved by actually you'll save time on the back end by not having to manually carve out all these VLANs and troubleshooting it, and that's not a lot of fun either. Oh, it should be working, but it's not. Then you got to trace the packets and stuff like that. So anyway, that's kind of the skinny on it. If you're wondering why the heck would I go through the pain of doing all of this, I would say the biggest use case would be if you're changing your VLAN infrastructure fairly often, then you may want to consider virtualizing that piece of it. It just makes it so much easier to carve out and retire and modify new VLANs, or logical network segments, I should say, because they're technically they're sometimes called virtual VLANs, or there's other terminology for it. But anyway. Okay, anyway, if you like this content, please boink hit the subscribe button, boink hit the like button. It does help out the channel. Thanks a lot for listening. Consider network virtualization if you want to segment your network. There's one thing I did forget to mention. The other thing that you can do with this is there's some additional security packages you can put in there, so you can do even micro segmentation. So, one machine per network segment if you wanted to go crazy with this. And where that comes into play is, like, if a computer is identified to be compromised, you can put it in VLAN or network segmentation jail, and then monitor it, try to remediate it, and let it back out and monitor it, make sure it's not misbehaving. So that's another use case for network virtualization, by the way. So anyway, stay safe out there. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.